Oh, I'm hoping, I guess I'm assuming the text went out to everybody. What's going on, sis?
Hello there, young man. How are you?
I am doing well. Thank you for asking.
Good. Good to hear your voice. I sent it out to a couple reminders for folks, so they'll be jumping in
Mhm.
as a courtesy.
Mhm. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. So we're just giving everybody a chance to get to hop on, get situated. Then we'll go ahead and get started. All right, a couple more minutes. Then we'll go ahead and get started. How's everybody doing today? Everybody good?
I guess pretty good, Cecil.
Good. Awesome.
Fuller than a tick on a hound dog.
Say here.
I said I'm fuller than a tick on a hound dog.
Oh, there you go. That's pretty doggone full.
I say we give it to about 7:10 and get started. And as people start to filter in, they'll just jump in wherever we're at that point.
Okay, I was thinking 7:05. So I guess 7:10. Actually, so I talked to a guy today. His name, I'm drawing a blank on his name, but he does business interruption claims. Was trying to get him on the phone call tonight, but he has some things to do. But he's going to join us for, if we continue to do this, he'll join us next week or the week after. So.
Did you say if we continue to do this or as we continue to do this?
Well, I said if, but I'm changing it to as. You know what I mean? So as we continue to do this, we'll have different folks from different fields of the insurance game.
Well, tell us a little bit about business interruption while we're waiting on folks to get in.
Okay, so business interruption insurance. So it sounds like when you hear it, like, your business was interrupted, right? Which that is exactly the case, but business interruption insurance is actually an insurance that you have on the building, not necessarily your business itself. For example, if you have a brick and mortar building that you operate out of, and I don't know, there's a riot. And because of that riot, people can't access your building. They can't come buy your food or, do anything at your place of business. So if you have that coverage, then the insurance company will pay you for the amount of revenue that you lost. So if you make $5,000 every single day, and then one day this riot come and you don't get no customers, so you lose out $5,000, business interruption insurance will kick in and, pay you what you lost. So.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it's all kinds of insurance. Like I said, alien abduction, kidnapping, cars, houses, boats, crops, pigs, cows, you name it. There's insurance for everything. And every time something happens to that or, that coverage, that's an opportunity for us to go out. So.
It's interesting. I know that Texas is scheduled pretty soon to have a freeze. So while, most people are like, oh my goodness, we got to start preparing for the winter and, on certain things, adjusters is like, man, come on, freeze.
Right. Yeah, as terrible as it sounds, like, doggone, when the next storm going to hit, it sounds terrible, but, that's how we make our livelihood, Well, it's an opportunity to help too, though. Actually, so the freeze had me working doggone 3-4 months from the freeze that happened this year. So
yeah, most people on the call, like I sent them the group for new adjusters, and if there's so many different scenarios and situations in there, and there's some folks who are still working on the Texas freeze, resist that. So there's always something. Yeah.
Agreed. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and just and I'm gonna put this in the chat. I don't know if the young lady shared it last week, but I put
Yeah.
the cat adjuster's
I
career.
don't need the mic. Oh, there you go.
There you go.
All right, cool beans. All right, well, welcome everybody. So as everybody starts, jumping in, we'll go ahead and get started. So if you missed last week's Zoom call, I think it was really awesome. We had some veterans in the room talking about their experience had some new folks talk about theirs and also what the, basic requirements to get your adjuster license, what happens after that. That was a great call, great conversation. And so we decided to do another one, and it looks like we'll be continue to do these. So definitely want to get that information out there. It's a lot of opportunity, especially for, people of color to actually get into an industry that makes some pretty doggone good money. So I've been doing it now for about 3 years now. So done a few hurricanes, few freeze, now I work daily claims for, several carriers. And so, I ain't gonna say I'm an expert, but, I got a little experience. But with that experience though, I took it back to my family. So now my sister, my brother, my nephew, my son, everybody got a all lines adjusters license. And we've all been working. So we want to take that knowledge and take it back to the community. Let's help some folks. So today's Zoom call, we're just going to talk about some of the tools that you use as a property adjuster. So this is just property. So, different tools for different, different jobs. If you're not working property claims, then, you may not need all of these tools. If you're working auto claims, then you may need a different set of tools. But today we're going to talk about property. That's mostly what I do is property, but I am learning some other fields as well. So I highly encourage you to jump into some of the other ones. You got auto, property, bodily injury, crop, Marines. So all kind of stuff you can do with your all lines license. It's one of the most powerful licenses you can get. Actually, if you get your all lines license, it's almost like having your property, your PNC property and casualty. So I'll go ahead and share my screen. Any questions, any thoughts, ideas, anybody? Hello, everybody. So before we get started.
I just wanted to tell everyone I invited my son on the call. I don't know if there's an age limit. He's 18, so I want him.
Yeah, so 18 is the limit to get licensed. But some of the, I think, pilot or Ebro, you have to be 19 to join their roster, but 18 to get licensed though. And it's a lot of them that are, join as many rosters as you can at 18. But I think there was only one company that I heard is 19. But yeah, my son been doing, as soon as he graduated high school, he went to work. You know what I mean? And he made more money than the shoot. At 18, I was broke. Yeah, but he making some change. Walking around here like him and my nephew with $150 doggone house shoes on. I wish I would. But yeah, so welcome. Right. So welcome everybody. Can y'all see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know. I just threw the Halloween, it's October, I just figured I'd throw it in there. So, and once you get into the adjusted world, it can be scary at times for sure. Especially in disaster situations, it can get a little scary. But also, if you got all these tools and you don't know how to use them, that can get scary too, especially if you're out there, running around trying to get these claims done and you don't even know how to use the tools. You know what I mean? But hopefully this helps somebody. That's the whole point, is to help you guys, better position yourselves to be successful in adjusting. Make some money for your families. So let's go ahead and get started. So adjusted tools and how to use them, right? So, all right, so we're just gonna go over some of the basic tools for property adjusting. We'll talk about how and when to use the tools. Then we have a Q&A at the end. If you guys have any questions, any new folks, you have any additional questions for, other adjusting questions, throw them in there. All right, so you don't have to do this, but we actually purchased all of our tools with ALA of Texas from Steve over at Claiminator. So the reason I do it is because you get everything in one box. You ain't got to go shopping around at different places and all that good stuff. And it's being shipped at different times. You know what I mean? So I get all my tools at once. Ain't got to worry about it. Now go to the pawn shop, get a ladder. You know what I mean? And you're done. Right. But you don't have to do this. So you can take all of these pieces and all of these tools and piece it together yourself. So you can get the tape measures from the pawn shop, you know, the pitch gauge from Harbor Freight, you get flashlight and all of that from Home Depot. So if that's what you want to do, you absolutely can. You may save some money. Obviously Steve marks it up because he's got to make some money as a business. So, but I like being able to order it all at once. So what we'll go through is your basic level 4 tool belt, which is what you see here. Level 3, 2, 1, you get less tools. So your binoculars. All right, so everybody know what binoculars are. You know what I mean? But what you would use the binoculars for in the adjusting world, say that, you know, you're on the ground and, you know, the roof is completely tarped, or, you know, it's not safe to get on the roof, but you need to look around and, you know, see what you can see. So you would use the binoculars from the ground to view a roof, or to, you know, view a tree where the lightning hit, or, you know, wherever you need to use binoculars for. I mean, y'all know what we use binoculars for. But in that scenario, you use it for a roof, tree, all that good stuff. All right. So your tape measures are one of your most important parts of an adjuster tool belt. So you want to have a 30-foot tape measure, you know, to measure your windows, your doors, your eaves. But your 100-foot though, sometimes you may have to measure the whole side of a house or the whole ridge vent of a roof. And a lot of this terminology ain't gonna make sense to you now, but once you get out there and start, actually we'll do that. We'll do a Zoom call where we go over the different parts of a house. So, you know, to start making sense to you. So you measure your eaves. So if you have to measure the whole house or the whole vented ridge or the ridge cap, your ridge ends, then you want 100-foot, you know, especially if you're dealing with a big house. Now, if it's a small house, you may get away with it with a 30-foot, but you want that 100-foot. You may even need to measure how much fence is gone, right? So from the house to the edge of the property, you know, how far is that so you can replace the fence? So you definitely want a 30 and 100-foot measure. So your box cutter, alrighty, so the box cutter, alrighty, say there's a claim water got in the house. Alrighty, what you would do is, if you're gonna be replacing the carpet or the hardwood or the linoleum, the flooring, a lot of times the insurance company is gonna want a sample of that flooring. So if they saying, you know, we gotta replace the carpet, but they was like, oh, this 300 square foot carpet. Okay, well, we need to cut out a 10 inch by 10 inch section of this carpet so that we can have it analyzed to find out, you know, what type of carpet it is and is it worth $300. It's called ITEL. So if you have to submit an ITEL report, which is cutting out a piece of whatever you're replacing and sending it in, or they actually have a digital app and tool that you can use where, you know, you can do it all on site, but that's what you would use your box cutter for. Contrary to popular belief, it is not for cutting, folks. Your crowbar. So your crowbar is used when you're on the roof, right? And the insurance company wants you to do a brittleness test. What a brittleness test is checking to see if can this roof be repaired instead of replaced. So what they want us to do is take the crowbar and lift up one of the shingles. You know what I mean? So if the wind damaged some shingles, then right below that damaged shingle, you would take the crowbar and lift up one of the shingles so that you could bend it at a 45-degree angle, which is called your brittleness test. And if you bend that shingle and it creases or it cracks or it breaks, then you're gonna have to, it doesn't pass the brittleness test, so you're more likely have to replace the roof, you know, because it's too brittle to replace. And so that's what you would use the crowbar for, just to lift those shingles. So your laser distance measure, I love mine. I use it all the time. So these three things are things that you're going to use mostly on the inside. Well, usually on the inside. So If you need to get in the attic, obviously you're going to need a flashlight, or, if you're going to a property that was so damaged it doesn't have lights, you're going to need a flashlight. So the one in the middle is a moisture meter. So say we had water come in through a window and it messed up the cabinets. Now the cabinets is deteriorating. What you would do is, to confirm that water actually came in and not the cabinets just, going been through it, you would take the top off of your moisture meter, and there's 2 pins on top, and you would stick those pins into the cabinet so it penetrates the wood, and the moisture meter would tell you how much moisture is in this wood or how much moisture is in this drywall. Different carriers have different percentages as to how much they would say that, yeah, that's pretty bad, we'll replace it. So usually, I think it's usually like 20% or something like that, 12 to 20%. So that's the middle one, the moisture meter. The laser distant measure is exactly that. So if I need to know how far is it from this wall to that wall, from the floor to the ceiling, is that 10 by 10? Is it an 8-foot ceiling? Is it a 12-foot ceiling? I'll use my laser measure. I can use my tape measure, but that saves me a ton of time. And when you get into adjusting, you definitely want to maximize your time, especially if you're doing component, which is, you get paid by how many claims you do. If you can save an hour by using digital products, then you can do 4 claims instead of 2, so, or digital products. So I use the mess out of my laser measure. So your pitch gauge. All right, so your pitch gauge is used to measure the slope of the roof, like how turned is it? So what is the angle of the roof? And you would give it a pitch. So your pitch is going to be, 512, 612, 812, 1212. The higher the number, the steeper the pitch. So if you got a 1212 roof, that roof is dang near straight up and down. So like a letter A. So but you would use the pitch gauge to measure, that pitch or that angle of the roof. So I know State Farm, they want you to put a clipboard on top of the roof and then put your pitch gauge on there and take a picture of it. Other carriers, they just want you to put it on the roof. If there's a dormer, you can set it on the dormer, which is like a little small roof on top of a roof type thing. I don't even know how to explain it. I have to show you a picture of it, but it's used to measure the angle of the roof. And so that's your pitch gauge. All right, so both of these are actually shingle gauges. So the shingle gauge measures the thickness of a shingle. So based on the thickness of a shingle, you can usually determine, what type of shingle it is. Is it a 25, 30-year, 40-year, 50-year shingle based on the thickness of it? So the one on the right, the 4.9 shingle, and the 4.9 is just the month and year that it came out, right? So that shingle you would lift up. If it's laminate, you would face whatever laminated, you would face that towards you, and you would just slide it onto the shingle until it stops. Once it stops, if it falls within that black line, then that's the year of that shingle. If it falls within that 30-year black line, then it's a 30-year laminated shingle. If it falls within the 40-year line, that black spot area with a 40, it's a 40-year laminated shingle. So the one on the left, or this one here, it doesn't give you the age, but it does still give you the thickness of the shingles. But I prefer to use the 4.9 or there's another, I think it's 111001, something like that. But I prefer this one. All right, so your chalk holder and your chalk bag. Again, you can get a Walmart bag and throw a bunch of chalk in there, and then get a chalk holder. I don't know, wrap it in, saran wrap or something. So, and then go to Walmart and get the kids chalk. You know what I mean? So there's different ways that you can reduce your costs, but you want chalk because when you get on the roof, you're going to have to mark the damages. If you're looking at the side of the house and there's hail damage to the gutters, you're going to have to circle it with your chalk. Now, of course, the markers don't work, the pins don't work, it doesn't really show up too well on a picture. Also, you can turn the chalk sideways and like, you know how we used to trace stuff when we rub it sideways with the pencil? I mean, you can do that and find even more damage, you know, in the case of hail. And so again, definitely want to have chalk. Not necessarily chalk bag, no, but it helps. So the clipboard and two belts. So the clipboard, obviously, for obvious reasons, you're going around, you writing down stuff. What are the measurements? You know, the roof is the drywall here. You're drawing pictures of the interior. You're sketching the outside of the house. So it's good to have a clipboard, you know, for obvious reasons. So the little grid paper in the back. So when you're drawing your rooms or you're drawing the inside of the house, that grid paper helps to, you know, make sure you're doing symmetrical boxes and, you know, connecting everything together. You can go to doggone, what's the name of the Goodwill? You can go to the Goodwill or Walmart and get your clipboard for $1, $2 or something. Your tool belt. Now, when I first started out, I had just a regular old construction tool belt that I don't know. I think I had it from when back in my construction days, and I would keep everything in this tool belt. So, but this tool belt that we're showing is actually specifically designed for adjusters. So it has a little bit more pockets, and you know, it has a few more clips that you know you can clip your clipboard, you can clip your flashlight, and all that good stuff. So, but again, when I started, I just had a regular old construction tool belt. But you're definitely going to want something because you're getting up and down the ladder, you know, on the roof. You're gonna need your tools. You know what I mean? Unless you got some big cargo pants, but you know, yeah, it's up to you. Also, your ladder. Now, you definitely, a 20-foot ladder is gonna get you on mostly, I say about 85, 90% of the houses that you deal with. But in some cases, if you're dealing with, you know, 2-story houses or apartment complexes, you're gonna need a, you know, 30, 40, 50-foot ladder. But me, if it's 2 stories, I'm calling somebody to come get on it for me. I ain't getting on it. So if it's too steep, I'm calling somebody to come get on it for me. I ain't gonna get on it. So the one on the left, this one actually fit in a small car. My son got a little 2-door, actually 4-door, little small car. And this is the ladder he has, and it works for 90%. Actually, almost every claim he goes on, because he does the same thing. If it's too high, he's calling somebody. The one in the middle at the top here, that's the one I have. You know, it folds out and then it lifts up. So fits pretty well in like a small crossover or something like that. But then the extended ladders, you're gonna need a truck, you know, something to, actually I seen a dude with one of these on the Toyota Camry, and he just put like an extended bar on the back of it. You know what I mean? And put a red flag at the end of it, but he was working though, you know what I mean? So there's ways to make it happen. And so and get these Home Depot or wherever you want to get them from, pawn shop, you know what I mean? So there's also several software tools that you may need. So Xactimate, if you're not deployed or working for a carrier that pays for this stuff automatically, then you have to pay for it out of your own pocket. So Xactimate is what we use to, you know, write the estimates and submit our reports. For the pro version, it's about $350 a month. And what that does is allow you the desktop, the mobile version, the tablet version. You can write your estimates from your phone. You know what I mean? So you don't have to get the pro version. You can get a standard version. I think it's like $225 a month or something like that. Same thing with Symbility. Xactanalysis is actually free, but you have to tie it to a Xactimate account in order for it to, you know, so you can get your claims. Eagle View. If you don't want to draw out the roof, you know, you wanted somebody else to do all your measurements for you, you can order an Eagle View roof report. They start at about $40 and go up, depending on how complex you want the report. Roofer and Ridgetop is also like Eagle View. They're just a little bit cheaper. Roofer, you can pay $10 and draw it yourself. Ridgetop, they do the same thing as Eagle View. They're just a little bit cheaper. Actually, a smaller company as well. I think it's local to Houston. I know that. I do believe they're in Texas. But just some tools that you'll utilize software wise. Of course, your other two, you're gonna need pins, you're gonna need plenty of batteries. So your laser measure, your moisture meter, those all take batteries. And so you're gonna need AA's, AAA's, quick charging, one of those chargers that you charge so that you can charge your devices. You may want to get those, because if you're out in the field all the time, if you don't have the car charger, charging it, then, or say your phone go dead and you need a quick charge while you're on the roof. Yeah, I mean, so that can help as well. And then the grid paper. If you're making the interior sketches, it just helps to, make the boxes and all that good stuff. So, but there are a ton of tools out there. If you just Google adjuster tools, both software wise and tool wise, it's a bunch of tools out there. You just have to find the ones that work out for you, that you're comfortable with, and that get the job done, with, the resources that you have. So DN.
That was great. I want to kind of give a couple of examples for folks who kind of missed the first Zoom call that we had. We went over a lot of the basics. And this is an extension of that. And of course, we're going to open it up in just a moment to ask some questions, which again, some of you may not have been on that first call, so it's okay to ask those questions. And hopefully we can answer those for you. If not, we'll definitely get someone who can. But I just want to kind of go over a couple of the examples from the tools that Cecil mentioned. Again, there's tons of tools. You can get as little as as necessary, but this is just a really good tool belt to kind of have everything. And just to give you an example, when we went on the deployment in Louisiana, which was a catastrophe deployment, it was very important that we had every single one of those tools, right? Because what we were walking into were total losses, meaning that the entire homes were just devastated. And when he was speaking about the box cutter having to cut a portion of either the carpet or the laminate or whatever, and I was hoping that little Cecil would have been on the call, but he had an example where someone had some wood in the floor. Cecil, you want to kind of go over that a little bit, the example with that? Okay, well, the gentleman had a really old home, and he was wanting to replace the entire flooring. Well,
Right.
the floor, you want to talk a little bit
No,
about
go
that?
ahead.
Yeah, so turns out that the floor was like super old. It was like back in slavery days. So, he thought he was getting a situation where the floor would have been expensive, to have to replace it, when in actuality, it was so old that there was no replacement for it, right? So that's the reason. Yeah, go ahead.
No, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. So if those materials aren't available, you're gonna get what we got, play them.
Right. Exactly. So and then the example with the moisture meter and the crowbar. So the deployment that we had was with State Farm, and State Farm actually did not want us using those particular tools on the properties. So some carriers, you'll find that they ask that you not use them, but for the majority, as independent insurance adjuster, you want to have those for different things. And another carrier, just for example, Home Depot, when they do their brittle test, it's necessary to be able to have that crowbar to be able to pull up that shingle at a 45-degree angle to be able to test that. So you have, companies such as Home Depot that need people to go out and find, if you purchase material from Home Depot, for example, and they come out and repair your roof, and you have a claim on that, well, they need adjusters to go out when there's a claim made on that property to go make sure that roof or the materials were used in accordance with the proper handling, right? So as an adjuster, you got go out to make sure that, okay, well, yes, it was nailed correctly, or no, they did not use the right nails when they put up this roof. So you're going in, look at the warranty on those. So there's tons of different carriers out there for different reasons, and Home Depot being one of them that you would use the crowbar for. Another example I wanted to kind of share with you guys, when Cecil spoke about batteries, the importance of batteries, and you can find batteries at the Dollar Tree, but of course you want some good batteries. Case in point, one of my very first claims that I had in Louisiana on a catastrophe claim that I had driven an hour and 45 minutes away, my camera died, right? And State Farm does it, you can use your cell phone, but if there's a litigation that comes with that particular claim, guess what? Your cell phone would have to be confiscated for that litigation. So they suggest that you not use your cell phone to take pictures. So it's just very important to be able to have replacement batteries in instances like that, because you'd hate to do a partial claim, be in the middle of a claim, almost finished, and your camera dies. So it's very important to have additional camera batteries. The last thing I wanted to share is the software that Cecil mentioned. Some carriers, they do have the program for you. I know some people probably cringe when they saw the cost of Xactimate, but as an independent adjuster, that's your money maker, right? So that's how you put in your claims. That's how you get your claims. But some adjusters, when you're doing specific jobs with them, they may offer that. However, you don't want to depend on that once you get started, because you, as an independent adjuster, you can do what you want to do. So you want to make sure that you have those tools necessary, and it'll make, once you get started and you learn more about it, it would just make sense. And you'll be like, well, that's just something that you just, you have to have it, $300 in order to make $3,000 for whatever, it's just something that goes with the game. But I just want to kind of go over a couple of those examples with you guys and the importance of those. But I think at this time, we're going to go ahead and open it up. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask those questions at this time.
Yay. Yeah, that
I'll go
was
first.
good. Actually, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Cecil.
Well, I was going to say, I see Tamar on the line. Tamar, you want to add anything? Also, if we have any other experienced adjusters as well, if you guys want to chime in on tools or,
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Cecil. This is, you're doing a good thing, because like I said last week when I got started, a lot of this information was not readily available. And so it was a lot of trial and error trying to figure out what supplies to use. So for myself, I just have like a regular tool belt that I keep everything in. And it's real easy. The only problem I have is like if I'm going up in an attic or something and I have that tool belt on, it's a little wider trying to get up in those spaces. But you definitely want to have flashlights, especially when you're going into these spaces that are dark or you're unable to see properly. Also, one of the things that he mentioned was about the moisture meter, and the carrier that I use, they actually don't want you to use the one that have the probe on it. So I actually have one. I forgot the brand of it, but it's a flat one, and they just want you to use it in several places, on the walls, on the ceilings, or the floors, and it actually has several settings where you can change between the type of flooring or the type of base it is. So if it's cement, if it's wood, or whatever the case may be, you can change it based on that setting for the moisture content. So you definitely want to look at getting that type of moisture meter also. But everything else is spot on. The ladders, I have 2 ladders, but I also I'm looking for the collapsible one because I think it's just a little bit easier to carry. And, I've been seeing a lot of people use those when the roofing companies come out. So that's definitely one I'm considering looking into. That's about it.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Actually, now that you mentioned it, I actually put together, so I was making an Amazon list. Am I still sharing? Yeah, I'm still sharing. All right, so yeah, so I actually put an Amazon list together. If you were to go back and buy each of these individually, so I did put 2 ladders. So this is the price for 2 ladders and everything that you saw on, that comes with it. All right, so your crowbars, your Fat Max, your binoculars, everything. So you're looking at about $800, but that's with 2 ladders though. So, take a couple hundred off. So about $550 for all your tools. Let's see.
The only other thing I would add is like a digital camera. I don't know if you
Yeah.
spoke about that, but just a little digital camera also.
Actually, well, I just use my phone for a lot of mine. So.
I do too, but I know sometimes just as a backup. So this is one that I have, just a little Kodak Pixie cam. I have it as a backup just in case I'm out and, like you said, your phone dies or something.
That's actually a good idea. Yeah. Actually, I have a camera. I just don't never take it with me. All right, so throw a little $40 camera on there. Yeah, the 32 gig hard drive, that ought to be good. Yeah, it's still about $800. Well, $600 for everything you're gonna need. So what we got? $50 to get your license, $200 to take the course, $600 to get all your tools. So it's the $850. Yeah, just say $1,000. $200 for your Xactimate. Yeah, so $1,000, and you could potentially make $10,000 every month or more for $1,000. Man, that's a flip for real, man. Right. So yeah, I mean, it's gonna be some slow days, but again, I use it as a side hustle. Yeah, so I work when every time the wind blow too hard, every time it rain too hard, every time it get too cold. That's money. But I'm only gonna work if I ain't got nothing going on. I might be out of town. I might be, with family. So yeah, that's why I like this. I actually love doing it. And then when you get there, people are genuinely happy to see you. In most cases, but you're gonna run into them ones though. So yeah, so $1,000.
Cecil, I have a question.
Uh-huh.
How long is the class?
So the online class is up to you. So it's self-paced. So it's 40 hours. However long it take you to do the 40 hours. You can get it done in 2 days if you focus. The in-person class or Zoom class is Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's a weekend. I think actually might be just Friday, Saturday. But it's a class that you're in for like 12 hours a day. So it might be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 12 hours a day. But then at the end of those 3 days, you can go get your license. Okay. And then once you take the class, you take a day for your fingerprints, your background check, and your license. I think it took him a week from beginning to end. A week for the class and a week for the license or something like that. How long did it take you from beginning to end, nephew?
So I took the 3-day class. The weekend, it was about 2 days of like 10 hours or something like that, and then the third day was like a recap, and then we took the exam, and that took pretty much like I think like 4 hours or something like that to take the exam. But to get the results back, it took about 3 days, so about a week in total for the class, and then went immediately to get my fingerprints. So about 2 weeks to get everything situated and be available to start getting on rosters and stuff.
Gotcha. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that the weekend course that he took, the one that I took and my oldest son just completed, he finished his he took, that's the self-paced course. And it took him 5 days because he did that at his pace. He took the exam on that Thursday. He got the results back on Saturday. And so he scheduled it for his fingerprints on Monday. So that's the self-paced course that he took.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
And that's one of the links that you shared with us last week, correct?
Yes, correct. Yep.
I know there were 2 on that list.
Yep. All right, cool. All right, any more questions?
So is that fee before or after the class is over?
Which one?
The 200.
Yeah, well, you got to pay that before you can take the course. Yeah.
So
Right.
once you pay that money, they give you a syllabus of how is it going to be, kind of like college online courses where they tell you what you're going to talk about, like an overview, and then you do specific?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. So the self-paced course, once you pay the $190, well, Cecil's going to talk a little bit about that because going through ALA, it's actually less than the $199. But once you pay that fee, it unlocks it and it tells you exactly what you said, the syllabus of each module, what's going to be discussed. And as you go through each module, once you complete, there's a quiz, and it's not like it's, you pass the quiz, and it's not like it's not contingent of your exam. It's just kind of like a refresher to see if you're retaining information. Once you finish that, it unlocks the next one. So that's how the self-paced one is.
Yeah, so the quicker you get through each module, the faster you are. All right, so I know Trinity had a question, right?
Yes, sir, I did. I just wanted to know if, like, I know y'all were going over the quizzes and stuff. I wanted to know if there was like a free exam, like to where you could practice, like a practice quiz.
No, not free. I'm sure they got some paid. Well, at least I haven't found a free one. Yeah, Little Sister said he had neither. So
Would you know like what the cost around that would be?
man, probably, I don't know. I ain't gonna lie to you. I ain't gonna lie to you. Yeah,
I would
so-
just suggest while you're doing the online portion to take good notes. And then you'll have something to reference back to. Because the questions on the test are really not that hard. I think majority of the test questions are around the verbiage of the policy. So
Right.
that's going to be the main thing, is just understanding how to read policy, and then also being able to know how to do the math part of it. So get familiar with triangles, squares. You want to start going back to algebra or geometry and start getting those basic math, equations down. And I think that's probably 2 of the bigger things that you're gonna have to know for the test.
Okay, appreciate you.
I chime in on that one as well, because I think because we talked about a little bit, so the question. So Trinity, so when you apply for the $200 online self-paced course, it allows you to, of course, go at your own pace. So as you're doing that self-paced, you're actually practicing as you're learning. So if you look at it that way, I think that better answers your question.
Okay, I appreciate you.
Not only that, though, I think it's unlimited tries on the test too, so you can take it till you pass it. So,
Okay.
Well, actually, it's unlimited tries on the quiz. The test, you have 3 tries.
right. I got to log back in. All right, but yeah, so if you guys are wanting to do either of the courses that we mentioned, so it's firstchoicecertification.com, that's the online one, and we do get a 15% discount. And then the online one, or the in-person one, is adjustersresource.com, and we get a $75 discount off of that one. So you're looking at 179 and 329 or something like that. I don't know, $75 off the online or in-person one, and 15% off the online one. And so if you guys are interested in any of those, or, let me know. What you would do is go ahead and get signed up, but don't pay for it. And then send me your email account information. And then we would have to, get the discount applied for, and then we'll pay it.
Right. I think there's a question in the chat. She asked, so with me being in Oklahoma, will I apply for license in Oklahoma or Texas or both?
All right. So if your state requires an adjuster license, and I would recommend you apply in your home state. But also having the Texas one is reciprocal to a lot more states. So I would say if Oklahoma is required to be licensed there, get your Oklahoma, then get your Texas, and then use your Texas one to get all the rest of them. If it's not required to be licensed in Oklahoma, then definitely get your Texas one first. And it would be your designated home state of Texas.
Thank you.
Unless you got family in Texas and they let you use their address.
Ain't that it? Why you playing?
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, definitely recommend the Texas one, because, you can use it, or you can use it to get licensed in a lot of other states without taking the test again, without taking the class again, without having to go through the fingerprints. So they just transfer your license to that state for whatever fee they charge.
Would it be a separate, I'm sure it is, a separate, I guess, certification for the additional states? How does that work?
No, your one Texas license, you will be an all lines adjuster in whatever state. So right now I'm in South Carolina, I'm an all lines adjuster in South Carolina, Louisiana, Georgia, Texas. Yeah, so everywhere I can be, that same license that you got in Texas is the same one you're gonna be using in those other states.
Okay, so I guess how would that state signifier?
Yeah, so I think what you're asking, Shannon, so once you get your Texas license, and because some carriers, so the more license you have, obviously, the more marketable you are, and it allows them to be able to give you work in other states, also, without the need of, say, an emergency license because of catastrophe. So if you're licensed in Texas, Texas is reciprocal to several other states. And what that means is that once you have your Texas license and you want to do work, say in Oklahoma, you would just go and pay for the fee to be licensed in the state of Oklahoma, but you no longer have to take the test. You don't have to test anymore. You just pay that state fee, and now you're licensed in both Texas and Oklahoma. Does that answer your question?
That's much clearer. Yes.
Right on, thank you, Nat. So yeah, actually I shared on my screen there some of the states where you're required to have licensing and some are you're not. So Oklahoma is a state where you have to have a license. But again, holler at your peoples.
I have one last question. So starting off, I know this is from last week, kind of a question from last week, and I don't know if I dozed off or something, walked away. I didn't doze off, but so starting off new, have there been individuals on here that have joined like a particular, let's say for instance, Allstate? I was looking at Indeed, just looking at the market, starting off in an office setting or just jumping straight out into the field, kind of.
Yeah, I jumped out right into the field. I think Tamar went straight to the field. Nat field. Yeah, we all went to the
Yeah,
field.
I went straight to the field.
Okay.
I've considered desk, but
Right. Now that's an option. I mean, there are plenty of well, there are a lot of desk adjusting jobs available right now. So,
And it's just more so for like the experience purpose.
yeah, absolutely. You get familiar with Allstate and figure out how they claim system work and what they look for in the report, and then jump out in the field. Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Okay. And I
Yeah.
lied. I had one more question.
Okay, go for
I don't like to lie. So
it.
no. So for instance, if you transition from working a desk, position, are you locked into a contract with that particular carrier, or can you just like a normal job, jump you 2 weeks in and be like, I'm out?
Right. Well, being that you're an independent adjuster, I mean, yeah, you could, but usually if you're working in the office, you're a W-2. So you go through the whole, it's like corporate America. You'd be in a corporate environment working. I mean, unless you do work from home, but sometimes working from home is W-2 as well. And yeah.
also be mindful if you, some companies, if you work with them as a desk, and you try to transition to field, well, some companies want you to wait a year, before you can move around. So that's another thing just to keep in mind, when you're going in between these different agencies. Some agencies, if you work for one particular agency and you try to switch to another one, they want you to wait a year. So that's another thing just to be mindful, when you're moving in between different companies, just what their expectations are if you do decide to leave and maybe try to come back.
That answered it perfectly. Thank you, Tamar.
I'm gonna just quit answering questions then.
No, you answered them as well. Huh? That was the cherry on top right there. That was the last piece right there.
No, they made it clear for me.
No, you do a great job.
Awesome. Do we have any more questions in regards to tools, processes, adjusting, anything?
Is Junior on here?
My junior or your junior?
Your Junior.
Oh, well, he was standing around there, but nah, he's not on the call though.
I just wanted my son to have someone to see. He's like, see, son, I told you can do it.
All right. Hold on, let me grab him real quick.
What's up?
All right. So, what has been your experience as an adjuster? Well, tell the people who you are and.
Well, I'm Cecil Jr., if you don't know. What's the question?
How old are you?
18,
18. When did you start adjusting?
17.
Well, technically, yeah.
So last year I was working under your license.
Well, yeah. Well, we recording this. He just playing.
Oh, yeah.
But he was actually going out with me on claims when he turned 17.
Yeah.
And as soon as he turned 18, he graduated high school, he got his license. About what you bring in a month?
It depends. Some months you'll get really slow and inconsistent months to where you'll get months to where you only get like 5 or 6 claims of 1 month, and then the next month you'll get like 15 to 20 claims. It really depends on what roster you get on, mostly what roster you get on. Like, I would recommend getting on as many as you can as soon as you get your license. But at first, when you first start off, you're really going to be inconsistent. But when I first started, I was bringing in between, I would say 2 to 4 a month.
2 to 4,000.
Yeah.
But then we went on that deployment.
Yeah, the deployment will bringing in like 12, 13 a month.
Hear that, son?
And like I said, we definitely with ALA are working on, getting our own contracts, man, for our people. And so, exactly. And so, we are definitely wanting to, position ourselves so that, once you guys are getting the training and the knowledge to go out and do it, that, you know, there's some claims around that you can go out and do. So, so yeah, that's the goal.
Yeah. So if at this time, please, if you have any questions, there's irregardless if the questions, if you feel that they were asked last week, this is your opportunity to ask those questions. There's no questions too small. I think Tamar has spoken about it quite a few times, this call in the last one, how important this is for new adjusters. She mentioned how when she first started, you know, this wasn't something that she was privy to. And that's the great thing about this opportunity, guys. Like, you have some experienced folks on here willing to really give you the advice, give you their time, and it's for free right now, right? So, you know, as a new adjuster, it's not a matter of you just taking your test and getting out there and you're kind of like, you know, a deer in a headlight, for a lack of a better term. You're being coached into being successful as best as we know how to ensure that you are successful, right? So, you know, if you have questions, ask them. You know, and again, if you can't think of it now, later on you do. Next week when we have this call, you know, write those down, invite more people, because the great thing about what we're doing, because this is something that we could have kept to ourselves, right? So we wanted to make sure that, you know, we share this with as many people as we knew would appreciate it, because it's just that much money that's going around and it's enough for everybody.
Yeah.
So, you know, share this information. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them. Again, there's no questions too small to ask.
Okay. Actually, Cecil made the point about joining as many rosters as you can when you first start out. Definitely, yes, 100%. But it's not just a matter of just joining the roster. You know, you want to sign up, complete the application online, but you also follow up with a phone call. You know, find out who's, you know, in charge of deployments, call them, you know, shoot the stuff with them. You know, how you doing? Just let you know I did my application. I'm ready for deployment. Shoot them an email after you've applied, you know, so it's a lot about, you know, who you know, really. You know what I'm saying? If you can get in good with somebody on the inside and they start sending you those claims, you good. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. And I would also like to add, you know, when we're talking about getting our rosters, it should be quality over quantity. It's not just about getting on as many rosters, but you want to do a little bit of research as far as which insurance companies is dominant in your area. You know, whether or not you want to do local claims or catastrophe claims only. You just want to do a little bit of research as far as who these people, when they have damages done to their homes or auto or whatever you want to do, that you know where these people are going to, which insurance companies, because those are going to be the ones that have, you know, the work for you. So just do a little bit of research and then, you know, make those phone calls and emails and follow-up calls and stuff like that.
That's a good point. Thank you.
I have a question for Siobhan, Natalie. Sorry. Like, I know that you and your husband actually do this at the same time. So do you think it would be a wise thing? Like, do y'all go out on the claims together or do y'all go separately? Like, how do you do the rosters? Do y'all do them individually or do you do, like, you know, I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. So
Like a team.
yeah. So to answer that question, this was a new experience for both of us. So when we first got licensed, we did do it together. And what we quickly learned is, like, this is something that a lot of people actually they do as couples in adjusting. Some people, you know, one would do the field work while the other one helps with the paperwork. So you kind of tag team it, and it works a lot for couples when they are, you know, really working together as a team. But you know, and there's so many different things that you can do within the license. So depending on how you know, we're still kind of discussing how we want to do it. And we're thinking for us, the best thing to do is, like, for one to be in the field and one to do the paperwork. So, and we can switch it up. So that's, you know, you kind of figure out what's the best thing for you as a couple. But the money's always good because it's two versus one. So, and then it's not just us, it's the boys too, you know. So, yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing because like paperwork, I got it. You know, me being an educator and I love paperwork, so that's nothing for me. But getting on the roof, getting on the ladder, honey,
Right.
let the tall person. I'm short for a reason. There's some
Oh,
so I don't have a problem with, you know, taking pictures, doing the moisture and measuring from the bottom, and you do the top, I do the bottom. You just
right. There you
go
go.
up there, let me go ahead and do this drawing and stuff like this, and let's get this sent in. So that's why I was asking about that.
Yeah. Yeah. So you would like figure out what works best for y'all, you know. Again, I think like once you get that the whole routine down, you know, you may say, well, my husband's gonna go out and he's gonna do the inspection. As long as you guys kind of like understand each other's handwriting, like if he's doing the measurements and he's, you know, you guys have like a schedule down of how to read each other's, like if he's doing the paperwork for the dimensions and what's wrong with the property and he brings it back to you and you understand that, you know, you guys can kind of like figure that out. But yeah, that's one of the ways that you can do it.
Yep, agreed.
Cool.
Yeah, so I know Alexis is gonna be working on hers, and you know she's got that medical field background, so she's gonna do bodily injury. I don't want nothing to do with that. So, all right. If nobody has anything else, no, any last words, comments, anybody?
These are great sessions.
Right on, sir. Glad you're joining us, brother.
Yes, sir.
All right, well, if that's it, then, well, I love you. Ain't nothing you can do about it. Thank you for coming out. God bless you. Good night.
See you next week.
All right, y'all have a good night.
Good night, everyone.
Yeah, and
Bye.
be looking for the text emails for next week. What do y'all want to discuss next week? Anything in
What?
particular?
Mhm.
No? Okay. All right, well, we'll put something together.
I think a good subject for next week may be like customer service and like really understanding how to deal with these insurers when you go to their home, and just kind of like etiquette when going into their homes and being in their personal spaces, because I had an insured, you know, who was not too pleased at the way they were treated by a previous inspection. I mean, by a previous inspector on an inspection, and this was actually a re-inspect that I went out. And, you know, so sometimes you're having to do damage control. And I think that, you know, it's important to understand that if we were in this situation, how we would want to be heard and not rushed. You know, and actually taking detailed notes of what they're telling you is wrong with their home. It's just like when we go to the doctor and we tell the doctor, you know, something is hurting, and the doctor's like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna give you this Tylenol. Well, that's not Tylenol don't work with my stomach. Like, you know, listen.
Right.
So I think that, you know, the customer service part, because a lot of these IA firms, they're big on customer service. And that's because these essentially are their insureds who's paying these policies. And they just want to make sure that they're getting good customer service from us when we go out to do these inspections.
Okay. Can you put together a slideshow for that?
Oh, okay.
We'll talk about it. I call you. All right. Well, no, that's a good one.
Hey, Mar, you see, I didn't say nothing, right?
I mean, you know, I can talk about customer service, but at the end of the day, I think that, you know, some people don't want you having your shoes on in their house. Like,
yeah, that's true too.
You know, they don't want you. I don't care how bad it looks to you. If they say they don't want your shoes on, like, be respectful. So, you know, you just.
Absolutely. No, that's a good one. That's a good one. Okay. All right. It's a cool beans. All right. Well, y'all look for that email, text message out to go out. More likely same time, Sunday at 7. So, all right, same place, same time, y'all. You all have a lovely evening.
Have a good productive week.
Right. You too.
Thanks, everyone.
right now. Yeah.